I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change, play the game that we say. I need a break. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. Face on when I chase like that. Yeah, I play so strong with a knife in the back. I'ma swing home run like a baseball bat. Gonna see me rise, you can hate on that. I don't play both sides, doing me no cap. I'ma ride or die for my dreams on tap. I'ma fly real high, you ain't see me slack. No, it's not how you fall, it's how you get right back up. That's how you get tough. Calluses on my hands so rough, yeah, I call your bluff. I'm not the one, mess with me and come out with none. Cause I'm so done, you had your fun. And now you're gonna face down the barrel of the gun. Cause I got a full clip with your name on it. But I'ma let you slide cause you ain't worth it. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on.
Today's live reading. We are going to be doing today a Konosuba Book 2, Chapter 1. This is a chapter that is partially been released on anime. It would have been in Season 1, but the second half of this chapter that we are going to read today has never been aired. That's right, it is a chapter that has never made it to animation. Why? Well, let's find out, shall we? We will start with a prologue, actually, because it plays into the first part. Kazuma Saito, welcome to the great beyond. I am the goddess Eris, and I will show you a new path. Your life in this world is over. When I opened my eyes, I was in a place that looked like Roman temple. The girl before me spoke the words that I couldn't fathom what she meant. She was clad in a billowing white feather mantle and a long silver hair, alabaster skin. Though I could sense a shadow over her face, upon her somehow fleeting beauty, there was no telling her actual age, but she could have passed for younger than me. The blue eyes of the goddess, who called herself Eris, looked at me with pity as I stood there and stared at her. Her words sank in, and I realized I was dead. It was oddly familiar. It had been like this when I met the other self-proclaiming goddess, Aqua, which was what led me to that world to begin with. But this time, I remembered what happened before I died. I see, I've died again. And that thought crossed my mind. I felt something tickle down my cheek. What happened when I died the first time? Huh? Who knew? It turned out I liked that stupid no-good world that I thought. More than I thought. Chapter 1. May the trade of these true friends. I want cash, I moaned, agonizing. Cash already, and plenty of it. The tavern was building, known as the Adventurers Guild. I clutched my head with both my hands, my face smashed into the table. So does everybody, myself included, of course. Think about it. This is completely pathetic. Let's say I, a goddess. Remember, I was once living a stable life, the rest of my life. Why would you let me? Wouldn't you be ashamed to do that? If you understand, then make the goods. Baby me. Beautiful woman in light blue hair harangued me as I sat there with my head in my hands. She had good looks, if nothing else. Her name was Aqua, and allegedly she had was some kind of a goddess. I don't even know why I want the money. Do you? How should a pure-hearted goddess, beautiful person like me, know that what goes on through that dirty mind of the former Hikikomori? You probably want enough money to shut yourself away forever or something. It's debt, I spat. Aqua quivered slightly and looked away. Debt? The debts you've racked up. The winds of garnishing almost the reward of every single quest. It's almost winter. This morning when I woke up, in my pile of straw, my eyebrows were frozen. All the other adventurers are already sleeping in the inn. What are we going to do when it's winter? For real, huh? We're going to freeze to death. And on haystacks, that's what. Never mind the defeat of the Demon King and making it home. I just want to make it through the night. I pounded the table and shouted at Aqua, who had her ears covered, her eyes closed and turned around. This world was home to people called adventurers. Day and night they battled the monsters that threatened the populace, saved their wages for a drink at the bar, and generally lived knowing that they would survive to see tomorrow. Even these people who did everything by the seat of their pants still managed to get themselves a place at an inn where winter came. Part of the reason, unfortunately, was the most weak monsters hibernated in the winter, leaving only powerful opponents in the field. Our base of operation was Axel, a town full of novice adventurers, a bunch of amateurs who barely had the hair on their chests. Taking winter monsters was a suicide mission. Bam! Aqua leaned over and began to retort her by pounding the table. Well, what was I supposed to do? Without my superior, incredible performance back then, the town might have been destroyed, and they put me in debt. They should be thanking me. The bill is unjustified. In fact, I'll go and protest. The receptionist right here. Hey, lay off. Don't bother the desk lady. To be fair, they did give us a huge reward. Even if they did charge us enough to put this in the real right, put us in the red right after. Sorry, we had to destroy that part of town in order to save it. You think they're gonna let us off scot-free? The general of the Demon King named Belda had appeared or attacked the town and the Demon King. Yes, that Demon King. Just like the ones you've seen in manga, video games, everything. The one that generals attacked us. Aqua was able to weaken Belda by exploiting the vulnerability with the divulge of water, after which I overwhelmed him with irresistible technique, which we got out with no problem, except whatever you spent the whole fight running, and then after I finally weakened that Dullahan, you just used steel on his head. You owe me more praise, more adoration. Where's the kudos for the cheering, the coddling? Everyone in the guild should be me, all me. We knew you could do it. Oh, Reverend Goddess. You grandstanding idiot. You've been getting ready really full of yourself. Yes, I'll admit somehow you pulled it off after the Dullahan. Fine. All the reward, all the praise, and all the debt is yours. So just pay back the whole thing by yourself. I'm sorry. I apologize for getting carried away. Please don't abandon me. Aqua wept and threw herself at me. I got to leave the goddess of debt behind. But someone called out to us. Really, do you two need to be at it this early in the morning? Everyone's not looking. You see, the whole guild is already used to this. You're here quite early. Is there any good work? The speakers were our companions. Darkness and our crusader, and hardcore masochist, and Megaman, our terminally tweeny arch wizard. Darkness brushed aside her long golden hair as she sat down. She was dressed in civilian clothes, with a great sword at her hip. Megaman sat beside us, a wizard with an eye patch, covering one of her red eyes. Hey, you guys. Made all the preparations. We haven't found any work yet. I mean, under the circumstances, I figured it's no rush. We could just wait until you got here. As I spoke, I looked around the guild. Despite the early hour, there were adventurers drinking in their heart's content. Some things were inevitable, right? Everyone who had been part of the battle against the Demon King had gotten a reward. Adventurers with overflowing purses had no reason to go out of their way to hunt down dangerous winter monsters. As a result, we could have the pick of quests from the guild's board. I went over to the board to see if there was anything good. Let's see. Plenty of good payouts, but no quest seemed really worthwhile. Take out a pack of white wolves that had been attacking a farm. Reward, 1 million Eris. One punch bear. It comes out of hibernation and living in the field. Kill it. Reward, 2 million Eris. Chase it off. 500,000 Eris. No way could we handle a pack of wolves. They were bigger than dogs and faster. And they all came at us at once. We'd be done for. And the bear's out of the question. What if it attacked Megaman? Or me? Heck, probably finish it if be finished if it gave us a pat on the head. I didn't want anything to do with a creature named One Punch Bear anyway. What is this? Mobile Fortress Destroyer. Is in the vicinity, seeking scouts to investigate its highly likely path. Huh? What's a destroyer? Destroyer is destroyer. It's destroyer, said Darkness. You know, fast-moving mobile fortress. Moves like whoosh, whoosh, added Megaman. It tramples all over the path. And it's also strangely popular with children. See? I don't get it. I let the girls explain to go on my other ear, and resumed for my search. What was left was, hey, what about this? Hunting snow sprites. That doesn't sound very threatening. Every snow sprite you took out would net you 100,000 Eris. It's a fairly lucrative reward compared to those for the creatures we fought in the past, but the name wasn't very intimidating, unlike wolves and bears. Snow sprites are very weak monsters. Snowy fields are supposed to be heavily populated with them. I hear you can slice them easily with a sword, but... Before Megaman could finish, I tore the piece of paper off the board, and as I took the notice, Aqua joined in. Snow sprite hunting! Snow sprites aren't particularly dangerous to people, but they say each time one dies, spring comes half a day sooner. If we're going to go on that quest, let me get ready. And with a hang on, she disappeared somewhere. Megaman didn't seem to have any objections on taking on the quest. Darkness muttered quietly, Snow sprites. I figured our hardcore masochist of a crusader would be the one to complain. She always wants to tangle with something more powerful of a monster. But for some reason, she seemed almost happy. While we waited, I had a brief feeling that Darkness's mood, but was set off by a hunt as Aqua got back. In the field off away from town, I was pretty sure there hadn't been any snow in town yet, but this place, and this is the only place shown white with it. Then there was what must have been the snow sprites, fluffy white balls about the size of a palm, drifting here and there. They sure didn't look dangerous. So what made them worth 1,000 Eris apiece? There was a legend that the spring would come a few hours sooner. Each time one of the creatures perished, maybe some of the people who really couldn't wait for the spring to got together and off the lavish reward. After all, who said the monster had to be powerful just because the quest board posted a big payout? You say you have an average monster with a ripping up the fields, but it wasn't danger to people. And the one that was weak but loving the fight would actively attack people, Of course, the bounty would be higher to the weak but vicious one, yet the price on the snow sprites bothered me. But something else bothered me even more. Can't you do something about that outfit? It was in the middle of winter, and there was Aqua with bug nets and small bottles, like some dumb kid about to go bug hunting. Aqua looked at me with a kind of a duh expression you would give a total moron. Why this little? We catch some snow sprites, put them in the bottles, and then we put the bottles in the box with our drinks. We'll be able to have ice cold Neroid anytime you want. In other words, I'm inventing a refrigerator. What do you think? Smart, huh? I could see this going wrong somehow. But it was her idea, and she could do whatever she wanted. And, hey, where's your armor? In the shop. As if Aqua wasn't enough. Our party's one-woman wall, Darkness, was still in her civilian clothes. No armor, just her sword at her side. Yeah, the Demon King's general gave your armor a pretty good beating, didn't he, huh? But are you sure you're going to be alright like that? I guess it doesn't look like the snow sprites are much for attacking anyway. It's no problem. A little chilly, but I can just treat it like a test of my endurance. Dressing in only her tight black skirt and black shirt, Darkness stood there, panting, looking pretty cold. Or maybe this pervy was the one of those people who always feeling hot. Maybe it melted her brain, too. We collected ourselves and began to hunt. Megaman, Darkness, get the one that went that way. Stay still, darn it. The snow sprites had drifted about lazily when we kept our distance, but soon as we moved in for attack, they started darting away. It was hard to land a hit on them. Well, they were worth 100,000 each. I couldn't be too easy. I brought down my third or fourth sprite, and then I let out a breath. I caught my fourth one. Look, Kazuma! Look at all of them! I glanced at Aqua's giddy shout. She was shoving a cap on a captured snow sprite into a bottle. Maybe I should have brought a net instead of my sword. We couldn't have taken down enough sprites in the field. We could always finish off the ones in Aqua's jars. Kazuma, Darkness and I are chasing these sprites around, but they're agile and hard to hit. Can I please just clear the field with my explosion? Megaman asked, panting. She had finally managed to give one of her sprites knock with her staff after she and Darkness chased it up and down the plane. I've been worried we might run into the wolves or the bear from other quests, but my sense foe skill was always working, and if I felt anything, we could just run away. Fine. Go for it, Megaman. Let's clean up this place. Megaman gave me a thrilled look and then began to chant. Explosion! Megaman's ultimate spell, which could only use once per day, enveloped the snowy field. The shockwave rattled the cold air, and along with the roar of the blast, we could see the bare earth where the crater formed in the middle of the field. Megaman flopped down altogether, out of magic, but she still managed to triumphantly show her adventurer's card. 8! I took out 8 of them. I've leveled up. Here, hey, way to go. I thought she would have been more impressive if she wasn't face down in the snow. That made 3 for me and 9 for Megaman. Altogether, we've taken 12 so far. Counting the ones that Aqua had captured, we had 16, or 1.6 million Eris. That worked to our 400,000 per person. It hadn't even been an hour. This was the dreaded winter hunting? Why wasn't anyone else in this weak and oh so profitable monsters? At that moment, as if in an answer to my question, ah, there he is! Darkness took one look, and then entered her stance, sword out, and a small, satisfied smile on her face. He almost busted into the scene, so fast my sense foe ability wasn't able to warn me in time to get us out of there. Megaman, just flushed with victory for a moment ago, stayed silently on the ground and tried to play dead. Kazuma, let me tell you why the adventurers stopped taking this quest in the winter. Aqua backed us up a step, never taking her eyes off the thing. The thing that had all attention took one gliding step forward. You lived in Japan. Surely you've at least heard his name on the weather forecast this time of year. His entire body was clad in thick white armor and extruded an unmitigated desire to kill us. Yeah, I was Japanese. I knew who he was at the first glance, even before Aqua said anything. One look at the outrageous character, I didn't need Aqua to fill me in, but I waited away anyway. The Lord of the Snow Sprites spoken in the Tales of Winter. He was wearing a big white samurai helmet, an intensely eradicated warrior surcoat. Freezing mist drifted from the blade in the white masked swordsman's grip. Aqua faced was somber and murmured, "It's a General Winter. He's come. Idiots! This whole stinking world, people and food and monsters are complete idiots." The blade of the sword gleamed sharp as a razor, and then General Winter attacked. Armor of the purest white, that kind of dumb color of armor, did nothing to diminish the splendor of the Warring States era armor. The intricate design on his surcoat was covered in ice. You didn't have to give it close to the katana with its cold, freezing mist to see it had a cruel cutting edge. General Winter boasted his intense presence and bloodlust as he took his stance and sword upright next to the head. Naked blade glinted in the sun, and then the general leaped his nearest foe, Darkness. Darkness made a block of move that made her great sword, but with a clear ringing of sound, her sword, which had withstood even Berta's most violent attacks, was cut clean in half. "Ah, my sword!" Aqua was trying to put some distance between herself and the battle between the Darkness and the General. "General Winter," she said, "a monster specifically targeted by the state for its huge bounty. He's the spirit of winter itself. The spirit sprites don't have one true body. They reach into the subconscious of people that meet and draw of that from the form they take. A fire spirit might appear in rampaging fire salamander, but we pictured fire as an all-consuming inferno. The winter sprite might pick up on the image of pure, awesome, brilliant gorgeousness of water goddess and appear as a beautiful woman. But in the spirit of winter is sort of an exception. All-powerful monsters keep adventurers inside for the winter. Never mind the townspeople, or so hardly anyone ever meets the spirit of winter, unless they come here from Japan with some kind of power-up." Aqua filled me in with the winter sprite, even as she clutched her bottle full of sprites. A white cloud mist rushed in the mouth of the spirit's mask, almost like a fog beneath. I stood next to Darkness with her shadow sword, keeping my own blade raised towards the general. "You're saying this guy here is because a Japanese jerk came to this world and had to be winter, like General Winter. What a pain! What were we supposed to do? How do you fight the spirit of winter?" Frankly, I didn't feel like we had a slightest chance of winning against the monster in front of us. It might look like an armor of human warrior, but apparently a spirit in corporeal form. I doubted things would somehow work themselves out with a swipe of my sword. Megumin was our last ray of hope, had already used her magic for that day. In fact, she was still on the ground, playing dead. When this battle was over, maybe I'd step on her. Aqua opened the lid of her bottle and freed the snow sprites she had worked so hard to catch. "Cosmo, listen. Winter Spirit is a generous one. If we apologize from the bottom of our hearts, he'll let us go." No sooner did she spoken that than Aqua flung herself on the snowy ground. "Kowtow, everybody," she cried. "Come on, bow, hurry on, everyone lay down your weapons. Apologize, quick, Cosmo, apologize." The former whatever threw aside her pride and shoved her forehead into the snow. It's pretty impressive to kowtow. I felt somehow refreshed to see Aqua ready to humble herself, and Megumin doing perfect impression of a roadkill. It was true. General Winter stopped looking at prostrate and Aqua, which meant he had even more to look at Darkness and me. It didn't take much to glance from him to convince me to throw myself to my knees. Darkness, however, was still standing next to me. Hey, what are you doing? Get down here! Darkness had cast away the sundered pieces of her sword and was looking balefully at General Winter. Even I have my pride as crusader, a paladin, but the knight like me to bow my head to a monster just because I am a little frightened. Even if no one saw me do it, Great. I reach up with my left hand and dragged her head down. You're always running straight after some monster, and now you get a sense of pride. Stop it! What reward is there in being forced to bow my head before they refuse to bow? I'm having my face forced into the earth, she was panting. Ah, the snow chills. I kept my own head down as I pressed her pervy face to the ground. Her cheeks were red. She was only pretending to resist. I peeked to see what General Winter was doing. He had already sheathed his sword. I breathed a sigh of relief, kept my head down. Aqua shouted cheerily at me. Kazuma, your weapon! Get rid of the sword you're holding! With my face pushed into the freezing grass, I suddenly remembered I was still holding my sword in my right hand. I tossed it away in an effort. I couldn't help but raise my head. As my head came up, my eyes met the sight of General Winter, his left hand resting on his sheathed sword. I could see the thumb had nudged out the hilt, exposing what bit of the blade. He was preparing to draw and cut. His empty right hand seemed to go fuzzy for an instant. Then I heard a soft ching. It seemed to be the sound of the sword being returned to the scabbard. I was confused, with that sound still ringing in my ears. My eyes went from General Winter, where I accidentally put them, to the snow-covered ground, and then to white earth came closer and closer. I remember it perfectly. General Winter had killed me. Are you feeling better? Sorry, I kinda lost it there. Guess you're not seeing my best side. I looked away, embarrassed to have burst into tears in front of a goddess in this pure white temple. But the goddess, who called herself Eris, shook her head with sorrowful look and said, You have nothing to be ashamed of. You lost your precious life. As she spoke, she closed her eyes and sadly, as if she concerned for me. Can I ask you something? What happened to the monster after he killed me? I was afraid the others might have thrown themselves at the creature to try and get revenge after he'd done me in. Things are well. After he cut you down, General Winter vanished. I sighed, feeling a burden lift. Eris looked mournfully at me then. Mr. Kazuma Saito, for something like this to happen to you after you kindly came to this world from your peaceful home in Japan, brave visitor from another world, at least let be my power for my next life, and be in your home serene country, with a wealthy family where you will want for nothing. I shall send you in a place where you can live in a happy life. Eris' words reminded me. When you died, you could either go to heaven or start over as a baby. That had been an exception to the rule. I had gotten taken to a mulligan in the bizarre world. I hadn't lasted long, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. By the end, I would have never seen that obnoxious bunch again, and made me a little, well, just a little. It made me a bit sad. Maybe Eris could see it in my face because she turned her sorrowful eyes to me again, and then she held her bright hand to my head. All right, Kazuma, come back. What are you doing, getting killed in a place like this? You can't die yet. Suddenly I hear Aqua's voice. It boomed in the chamber and started, followed by the Doppler shifted echo. I gave a confused shout of my own. What is this? It seemed I wasn't the only one who was perplexed. What? The voice is my senior, Aqua. I thought the priestess had looked like her, but I didn't tell me it was her. Eris explained in the emptiness. Her eyes had gone wide, and she wore an expression of disbelief. Aqua's voice came again. Hey, Kazuma, can you hear me? I cast a spell of resurrection on your body, so you come back now. You're probably standing in front of the goddess, right? Have her produce a gate to us. Whoa, no wait, goddess? You can really do that? Come to think of it, she'd brought back those adventurers that Dullahan killed, hadn't she? Hang on, Aqua, I'm headed your way. I didn't know if she could hear my voice, but I shouted back into the empty space anyway, and when I jumped for joy. Wait a minute. That's not how it works. I'm very sorry, but you've already come back to life once, and under heavenly rules, you can't do it again. I'm afraid you, with a personal connection to my senior, are the only one who can speak to her and the other side, so could you please let her know from me? Eris then seemed a bit of a panic. Aw, seriously? I guess the jump for joy too soon. I faced the empty space and called out, Hey Aqua, can you hear me? She says I already came back to life once, so I can't do it again. Divine rules or something. For an instant of there was an instant of silence. Huh? What goddess fed you that line? Tell me, who are you? I'm the elite goddess responsible for Japan. You think you're gonna take lip from some social deity like you? Sheesh. Aqua, cut it out. The local deity in front of me wore a pinched expression. She says her name is Eris, I timidly replied to Aqua. Aqua screamed back. Eris? You mean Eris who led her little national worship over her head and overrated that they even named the currency after her? That Eris? Hey, Cosmo, if she tries to give you any more guff, go ahead and pull the padding right out of her. All right, I give. We'll call this a special case. I'm opening the gate now. Eris blushed furiously, cut off Aqua's tirade, and snapped out at her fingers. As of a signal, the plain white door appeared in front of me. I thought I could hear Eris mutter something that Aqua was being unbearable as ever. The door leads to your current world. You know, this is highly unusual, right? Normally, no one gets to be magicked back to life more than once. Prince or pauper. Geez, you said your name was Cosmo. Oh, yes, ma'am, I answered with a voice shrill. Next to our bumbling deity, this goddess seemed to be the real thing. Not to mention, she was gorgeous, which only made me more nervous. She had looked at me sadly through our conversation, but now bit her lip troubled. Finally, she gave me an impish wink and whispered, somehow cheerfully, This is our little secret, okay? I gave her a thin smile and pushed the door open. I could hear her voice from far away. Kazuma! Kazuma, please wake up, Kazuma! It was Megaman, clutching me and crying. Huh? My right hand was warm. I glanced at it and found darkness clutching to my right and clasping my hand with both of hers, eyes closed and as if in prayer. I felt something looming over me and focused my eyes upward and met the eyes of Aqua, who was looking down at me. Finally awake, huh? That girl's always so stubborn. As I listened to her, I began to notice the back of my head was warm. Oh, I guess my head was resting on Aqua's knee. Megan and Darkness saw I had opened my eyes, and both of them hugged me wordlessly. It was great that they were so happy to have me back, but man, this is kind of awkward. Aqua realized it was frozen from embarrassment, and she gave me a smirk. Sheesh, should have left them here and just gotten myself reborn as a rich kid in Japan. Hey, Cosma, don't just lie there and blushing. Say something. Don't you have anything to say to us? Said Aqua, still smirking. I don't suppose I could exchange this useless goddess for the cute one that I was with just a moment ago. I looked up at Aqua and she said 3 words. I want to trade. Have it your way, you damn neat. You want to see her so badly? I'll send you right back there right now. Stop! You can't beat up someone who's just come back from the dead. Then what are you, the goddess of violence? A vain bulged on Aqua's forehead, and she held me down with one hand and to punch me with the other. Darkness held her back with a now. I sat back up, checking my body for any signs of the encounter with General Winter. How are you doing? Megaman asked. No problems anywhere? I patted myself down once more. Looks like I'm fine. Hey, how did I die anyway? Aqua answered. General Winter chopped off your head. It was a great cut, which made it easier to reattach your head. By the way, I was able to get back some of the blood too, but you're still a little low, so take it easy for a while, or you'll get anemic, okay? Stay off the front line or you'll lose more blood. I can't make any more promises. Chopped off I hardly was able to speak. I felt my neck. No matter how many times I checked, though, it didn't seem to be any scar. Some of the snowy field there had dyed red with my blood, and more of it spattered on darkness beside me. Aqua had brought me back, sure, but dying still didn't appeal to me. Winter meant scarce food and harsh environment. The only ones who should have been out here were the monsters who could win the battle for survival, even under these conditions. In other words, there were no nice, easy quests for novices like us. You know what? Let's go back to town for today. As soon as we got back to town, we headed to the guild to collect our reward. Boy, 12 sprites in less than an hour. 1.2 million. That's pretty good for good take, I guess. No amount of profit makes it worth dying. You said General Winter was a special bounty on its head, right? Wondered how he'd bring in. He cracked Darkness's sword in one hit. He's stronger than Berta, and he's worth 300 million. General Winter will leave you alone if you don't touch the snow sprites. Still, he must be worth around 200 million heirs. Berta was worth more than because, as a general of the Demon King, he was not only powerful but clear as a present danger of humanity. General Winter was not a very aggressive monster, so he is worth less. Even now, 200 million implies he's no easy foe. I felt silent as Megaman's explanation. 200 million. That would have been enough to pay off our debt, buy a house, and still have some money left over for fun. Megaman, could you use your explosion? Explosion won't work on General Winter. He appears in human form, but he's a spirit. Spirit's fundamentally a sort of massive magic, with no corporeal form, and all the leaders of the spirits have an incredible magical defense. Explosion can certainly damage a creature of any type, but it would be difficult to stop a spirit with one blast. That I would want to attempt an explosion against such a frightening opponent. No, go, huh? Seeing my dejection expression, a satisfied smile came over Aqua's face. Cosma, don't look so down. I was just kowtowing to the general, you know. Look at this. She spoke and pulled out a small jar. Inside was a snow sprite. Apparently she hadn't let out all of them during the battle. There was one left. Whoa, way to go, Aqua. All right, give it here. Let me finish it off. I reached for the jar and praised for Aqua's unusual clever turn. Huh? No way. I'm taking this one home to use as a refrigerator, so we can have ice and Neroid even in the middle of summer. No, this one's mine. I even given it a name, and I won't let you kill it. Stop it. Stop it. She hugged the jar tightly, crouching back and putting on far more of a fight than I expected. Man, we could have gotten 100,000 for that thing if we did it in. But I guess Aqua hadn't brought me back to life today. As much as I hated to leave a bird in the bush, let's let it go this time. We cashed out our reward and divided up what was left after it was garnished to pay our debt. It was a little early, but we'd just gotten pretty good payday, so I figured out getting a room in the inn, letting my body rest. Didn't want to overdo it, and having come back from the dead and all. Although, well, it was a good amount for the day's work, but compared to our debt, it was a drop in the ocean. My calculations confronted me directly with our only grim reality, and the sort of escaped. I began to think about Eris, the goddess whom I met earlier that day. She was a trim, beautiful goddess, not to mention pretty good-hearted. She had seemed genuinely grieved that I had died, and was a sweet smile she had told me to keep it a secret, that she'd let me come back again. I felt like I made my first real potential love interest since coming to this world. Picturing Eris's face, I arrived in the inn before I knew it. I gotta take good care of you, Snow Sprite, and when summer comes, we'll be rolling in the ice. You and I are gonna be shaped ice shop together. You can be my pillow when the summer heats up and makes it hard to sleep. Hey, Megaman, what do snow sprites eat anyway? I don't think anyone exactly knows. Do they even eat at all? Looks so fluffy and soft, Darkness said. I'm sure you could sprinkle some sugar on it and pop it in your mouth. It'd be delicious. So went altogether unappetizing deliberation behind me. As we reached the inn's door, I looked back at them, pictured Eris's pure form again, and then looked at the faces of my companions. All three looked quizzically. They were silent, staring at me blankly. Sigh. They exclaimed at once. With the girls' commotion roaring behind me, I opened the door. Alright, we're going to take a brief time here for me to get some liquid, and we're about to get to the actual part of the story that has never been aired. Alright, let's get back to the part of the story that has never aired. Several days after I had been killed. Hey, what did you say? I somehow held back my rage as I spoke to the guy in the now silent guild hall. Having just recently died for the second time, I planned to take a few days to rest my body and see to my mental state. Then today happened. It was still under the orders not to do any strenuous physical activity. So I'd come to the guild to see if there wasn't any work that didn't involve some nice, easy lifting or something. Come on, lifting or something? Your party's stuffed with advanced classes, so why don't you go and take on some real work? You must be a real ball and chain for them, huh? Mr. I'm the weakest class. The guy looked like a warrior as he spoke. He exchanged a hearty snicker with his table mates. Just ignore them. I was a grown man, and I could act like an adult. After the crap Aqua would say to me every day, I wasn't going to let some run-of-the-mill barfly get the rise out of me. Granted, there was some logic in his words. My companions might all have their bizarre quirks, but they were still advanced classes. If we were a bit more effective group, maybe our financial outlook would be a little bit better. And yes, I was an adventurer, the lowest class. I really had no comeback for him at the moment, but the guy seemed to take a refusal to say anything to my inability to say anything under his withering assault. Hey, why don't you say something, weakling? Jeez, you go around with these 3 fine ladies like you want a harem. All of them advanced classes. I bet you take a good care of them every day, huh? The whole guild erupted in laughter. Some of those familiar with my history, however, frowned and looked on more cautious looks. Unconsciously, I clenched my fist, but having a few people like that helped me bear it. I could endure it. As I stood there enduring Megaman, Darkness, and Aqua jumped in to hold me back. Kazuma, you must not sink to his level. I don't care what he has to say about me. That's right, Kazuma. He's just some drunk. Ignore him. Yeah, he's jealous you've got us with you. I don't care at all. Just forget about him. They're right. The guy was a stereotypical punk. You saw his type in manga all the time. There was no need to get in it with him. I gritted my teeth and tried to bear it. But then the guy said something I couldn't ignore. How nice of you. Piggybacking on powerful friends. Sure wish I could be like you, never having to work for anything. Hey, how about it? You and I switch places. Hey, how about we do? I bellowed. The hall was silent. Huh? The waiter who had been ridiculing me made a dumb sound in his mug, still in his hand. I said, sure, I'll switch with you. I've been just listening to you spew BS all this time. Yes, I'm the weakest class, I admit it. But then tell me what you said next. Kazuma? Aqua spoke with a hint of panic, alarmed with the sudden outburst. Then the guy jumped in, as if to goad me along. After I said, you have 3 fine ladies with you, and you must want a harem. I slammed my fist on the table, making everyone in the hall jump. Fine ladies. A harem. What have you got your marbled eyes? Marbles for eyes? Do you see any fine ladies here? Maybe I'm crazy. I sure don't. Hey, how about you? We trade crazy for blind. What? All 3 of my party members pointed to themselves and muttered as I spoke. Were all these fine ladies you're talking about, huh? You wish you could be like me? Isn't that what you wanted to say? I had the guy by the collar, with the anxious voice came from behind me. Aqua was trying to squeak something out as she's trembling rise in her right hand, as if she was the spokesperson for 3 of them. I ignored her and went on. And what came after that, huh? Something about piggybacking on my powerful friends, never having to work for anything? I'm sorry about that. I'm just drunk. I got carried away, but it's... This grass is always greener, you know. You look downright blessed, I said. You'd switch with me, right? How about one day? Change places with me for just one day, Mr. Adventurer. Hey, you guys okay with that? He looks to the others sitting at his table, confirming. Don't make much difference to me. Today's just a goblin hunting quest anyway. Don't mind, but dust. Don't go comfortable on your new party, that you never come back. Me neither. Just goblins. One kid wouldn't matter. You better bring back some good stories, though. Each of the guy's companions answered him in turn. Hey, Cosma, Aqua said. That's well and good for them, but doesn't our opinion count for anything? Nope, I said, turning to my new party. Hey, I'm Cosma. Thanks for taking me on, even if it's just for a day. Yeah, the guy's friends answered. They seemed to be a bit at a loss. A man holding a sword and shield, wearing heavy armor, took stock of me and said, I'm Taylor. I'm a crusader with a focus on single-handed swords. I'm sort of the leader. You remember our party for the day, even if it was kind of an accident, so I expect you to do what I say. Sure thing. You know what, I'm normally the one who gives the orders in my group, so you'll be nice for change of pace, letting someone else handle things, looking forward to it. Taylor seemed a little surprised at my response. You're telling me you had plenty of full advanced classes, and the adventurer was the leader? Yep. I nodded, and it was no big deal, but the 3 of them were speechless. Next was the girl, who still had an air of youth about her, draped in a blue mantle. I'm Ren. I'm the wizard who can probably guess. I've mastered intermediate magic. Nice to be working with you. I don't think a few goblins should be any problem. I'll protect you with our little novice. She giggled as she was treating me like some kid. Pretty sure I was older than her, but if she really was a wizard, that was comforting. Would be happy to let her protect me. I'm Keith. I'm the archer. I don't miss. Anyway, good to have you on board, I guess. He smiled and spoke, the bow slung over his back. He seemed to be a flippant type. Nice to meet you all. I'm Kazuma, the adventurer. Should I, tell you what I'm good at or anything? The 3 of them burst out laughing. Doesn't matter. You're looking for porter work anyway, right? We'll carry our stuff, and the 3 of us will be plenty to take out a few goblins. Don't worry. You'll get your share of the reward. I sensed Taylor was teasing me, but I didn't care. I'd been accused of riding on coattails of many more powerful party members, but the reward was hauling around just some luggage. That was easier than I thought. I'd be done so far. Were they sure about this? Well, that was the idea. I wasn't going to argue. That was when I heard a familiar voice from over on the other by the quest board. What? Goblin slang? Why are they even showing up near town? Why not do, something big, something profitable? Cosmo's only rented out for one day. We should take on and show him how grateful he should have been to save us, or have us. Sounded like Aqua was already making a nuisance of herself, the guy who switched with me. Well, let's not. I know you guys are really powerful, but I'm nowhere near close. An archpriest, an archwizard, and a crusader. I'm sure the three of you could take on an opponent no problem, but let's stick to something simpler, alright? By the way, where are your weapons and armor? Not really going out like that. It's fine. I trust in my sturdiness. Even if I had a weapon, I couldn't hit anything with it. Couldn't hit anything. I mean, alright. I listened to him back and forth with darkness and noticed him say, this time, what did he think he was going to be next time? Not that I cared. Not at all. Taylor stood, keeping an eye on what was happening in the other party. We don't normally work in the winter, but some nice, tasty goblin slang fell right into our laps, so today we're going to clear them off the mountain road. If we leave now, we can be back before midnight. Alright, New Kid, let's move out. Goblins. They were a major monster type. Even in my world, everyone heard about them. Of course, they had this in this one. But these goblins apparently weren't the small fry of creatures in video games, but the foes who posed surprisingly serious amount of threat to the populace. Individual goblins were not that powerful, but they generally traveled in packs and used weapons. They were sort of like a wild demi-human, quick-moving with small but violent, and carrying out a reputation for attacking people and livestock. Typically, they lived in woods, but recently, for some reason, they had taken up residence along the mountain road and led to the next town. We were wandering through the field on the way to the mountain. I wondered what would cause the goblins to live out here anyway. Well, it means, for one, we got a nice cushy goblin slaying job. Goblins were worth 200,000 Eris each. I had no idea how strong they were. If Ren had said it was cushy job, then it probably was. I could get in and on it just by trotting behind the three of the bags. It was then, maybe for the first time ever, I had such an easy, stress-free work. If I'd been with my normal party, the girls probably would have started squabbling or found some fresh danger before we were halfway there. But today, we arrived at the mountain, no problems. This wasn't a lush green mountain like you'd find in Japan, though its face was bare, brown, and rocky. A little brush was the extent of the flora here. I wondered why goblins would settle in a place with so few resources. With my usual companions, this was about the point where I would start wondering how things would go wrong. But today I only found profound sense of ease. No doubt it was because I finally had a real party with me. Taylor came up to a halt and opened up the map. To get where the goblins were sighted, we had to climb the top of the mountain road, and then descended a little bit. The road was lined with the kind of caves that goblins love, so keep your guard up. I actually felt a little rush of excitement at Taylor's words. This was it. This was knowing how to be an adventurer was supposed to go. I wanted to charge right in the midst of the enemy. I wanted to set off a magical explosion. I want to go home and drink. I knew these weren't normal things for adventurers to say. Everyone looked wordlessly at one another and then nodded. The mountain road was never branched. It was a single narrow path that wound past jagged peaks. It was wide enough for 5 or 6 people to walk abreast, but a craggy mountainside that might as well have been a wall bordered one side and the other side ran along a sheer cliff. As we moved silently up the road, I suddenly noticed that something's coming this way. I set off my sense foe ability, but there's only one. My skill had been alerted to the presence of the enemy, but only one. Weren't goblins supposed to be traveling in hordes? The 3 others looked at me in surprise. Cosmo, you have sense foe? Wait, what do you mean, only one? It's not a goblin, then. There's supposed to be monsters around and powerful enough to act alone, but, well, there's only one path, and it'd spot us in a second if we try to hide in the bushes. Do we fight? Taylor raised his shield as he spoke, but no, I think we'll be fine in those bushes. I have ambush. It's an effect that extends to any party members touching the user. We got this great hiding place right here, so why not use it? Even more surprising, the 3 of them not obligingly hid in the bushes. I expected nothing less of the experienced party like this. When you knew nothing about your opponent, avoiding battle and assessing the situation was adventuring 101. Vigilance was nothing to be ashamed of. I was a guy who threw caution to the wind and got himself killed out to feel bad. As we crouched in the bushes, I was thinking to myself that my usual party would never have just hidden so readily when it came. A huge cat-like creature, bigger than a lion or a tiger, its body covered with black fur, and had 2 long fangs like saber-tooths. It was sensitive enough that I had noticed the ground we had been standing on just a moment earlier. It was sniffing the air. Ren took one look and covered her mouth with her hand. Maybe she had been about to let out a terrified shriek. I felt all 3 of the hands on me tighten, perhaps out of fear. If these 3 were worried, that thing must be pretty dangerous. The monster went on sniffing for a moment, then finally disappeared the way we'd come down the road. Yikes! That was scary. That's a beginner's bane. The beginner's bane, Ren said with tears in her eyes. I guess I was right about the thing being nasty enemy. I thought I was gonna have a heart attack, Keith said. You saved our skins. That's why the goblins are here. Beginner's bane chased them. Yeah, said Tyler. But this is the trouble. He went back towards town. We can't run home now. This cat's really that big of a deal. The 3 of us, and the 3 of them gave me disbelieved looks, as if astonished I didn't already know. The beginner's bane. He hangs out around near goblins and kobolds. Kobolds, monsters that are considered easy pickings for novice adventurers. Then preys on the rookies who come to get them. He uses them as bait, and then he periodically chases goblins around so that they don't get too comfortable. And so he changes his hunting grounds. He's smart, and he's dangerous. Man, that's scary. Who knew there was such an intelligent monsters around here? Wonder if it was contagious. Maybe I should boil that creature's claws to make Aqua's drink for them, to see if they're improvement. Well, let's take care of those goblins then. The beginner's bane also usually protects his bait from adventurers' attacks. If we eliminate the goblins and then hide again, maybe he'll smell the blood and go past us just like he did before this time. Cosmo's sense foe will let us know if he gets close, and it beats the crouching out in the bushes forever, waiting to see if he'll come back. Let's make her for our objective. At Taylor's suggestion, I step out of the bushes. As I did so, Ren took some of the luggage off from my back. If we run into the beginner's bane, we have to scatter. We want Cosmo to be light enough to move. I'll take some baggage, but I'll be counting on your sense foe and ambush skills, okay? She hefted the bag onto her back and as she spoke. At Wren's words, Taylor and Keith both hurried to take their packs from me. We're not counting on you or whatever, though. All right, they said. Fancy that. I picked up some chatty secret admirers. Since the beginner's game showed no sign of returning, we crept up the mountain until we found a decent to Taylor's map he had indicated. Apparently the goblins had been sighted around here. Taylor looked back at me. How is it, Cosmo? Is your sense foe reacting? Oh yeah, plenty. There's a bunch of them. Just down the path, around that corner. For now, I don't sense the beginner's bane coming back up the path behind us. But there were a lot of them. More than you could count on two hands. So many, in fact, I started to lose count. A bunch of them. That's gotta be the goblins, Keith said lightly. They're pack animals. Not sure, I said, with a touch of unease. I've never fought goblins before, but their hordes are usually this big. How many would you say are normal? I can sense more of them than I can count. My anxiety seemed to be infecting Wren. Hey, are they really that many? She asked. How about we listen to Cosmo and try and get the look at them? See how many there are, if we can really take them. That was far as she had gotten with. It's fine. We can't have Cosmo doing all the work. All right, let's go. Even as Keith shouted, he leaped down the hill and around the corner at what was probably the goblin infestation. Taylor followed him with a sprint, and then we heard the two of them shout, Yikes, look at them all! Wren and I dived after them. There was a horde there, all right. 30 goblins at least. So these are the famous goblins. They're devil children, I see. They're barely as tall as a young grade schoolers, but most of them had weapons that were looking right at us. This could be a problem. Wren grimaced at the scene. I told you. Didn't I tell you? Let's have a look, I said. See how many there are, I said. Taylor stepped past the corner to cover his archer, Keith, as shouting at the wizard. A horde of goblins usually means 14 or most. Damn it. Can't we run now? We'll get caught between these guys and the Bane. Here we go, as Taylor shouts, and Wren and Keith begin preparing to fight with the grim determination of the two heroes. No sooner did the goblins see this than they ran shrieking up the hill at us. We were on a mountain road, remember, one side of which was a cliff. We held the high ground. Yeah! Damn it! One of them shot me, Taylor shouted. Hey, they got archers. Wren, win defense. Magic. She's chanting, but there wouldn't be enough time. Keith shouted back, Brace yourself, everyone. Wind breath. The bit of basic magic I shouted out blew the incoming arrows away. Cosmo? Way to go! As Taylor called back from between the shield and me. Wren finished her chant. Wind curtain! As she shouted, the whirlwind started up around the four of us. Now that was magic. This was what it was meant to have a real spellcaster in your corner. The spell must have been for deflecting arrows or something. Even as I admired the abilities of a true wizard, I shouted, I know the trick that'll work for certain. This time, create water. I poured a bunch of MP into my basic spell and produced water along a vast swath so it would roll down the hill Taylor was defending. Even Wren said from behind me, Cosmo, what are you? I put everything I had into the one basic spell. Freeze. Whoa. All three of them others called out in amazement as the ground under the goblin's feet turned to ice. I used the trick on the Demon King's general already. It's easily sent the goblins tumbling all over. Taylor, who stood on nice dry ground, safely dispatched the creatures that came shambling up the hill. We weren't even getting a scratch. I drew my sword and lined up next to Taylor. Taylor, a few of these guys think they can make it up here. Let's handle them together. The two in the back use the range attacks to get the goblins who are trying to keep their distance. I call out happily, feeling a touch of wonder on how well we work together. Way to go, Cosmo! Hey, you guys, you heard the man. We could take 100 goblins like this. Woohoo, haha. Easy win, I'm gonna make a mincemeat out of you. Here I go. I'll let a power spell in the middle of them. Reckless high spirits, we threw ourselves at the goblins. We were on our way home after defeating the goblins. I hadn't seen magic like that. Who knew basic magic would be the most useful skill we had? Yeah, really. At Magic Academy, they told me basic magic wasn't worth the skill points it took to learn. Boy, were they wrong. Goblin slaying was never so easy. When I saw a horde, I thought we were done for. Reflecting most of our more recent encounter, we headed back to town along the mountain road. As we discussed the battle, our adrenaline still high, I said, "Hey, now that's the fight's over. How about you give me your stuff again? Isn't the weak-ass adventurer supposed to carry the bags?" At my touch of self-deprecating irony, the others answered, "Sorry. We're real sorry, Cosmo. We apologize. We'll never make fun of someone being an adventurer again." "Yeah, sorry, Cosmo. Adventurers are supposed to be weak. How did ours end up doing the most work? What's the deal with that?" "Hey, Cosmo, how about you give me your bags? You're the MVP. I'll carry them for you." Watching the three of them scurry to apologize, I sighed as they realized I'd been joking, and they all started laughing. Ah, this was sweet. This was how adventuring party was supposed to feel. Ouch. Taylor pressed on his arm and grimaced. He pulled out the arrow that stuck into him during battle. "Hey, you alright? I could learn some healing magic right now, if you need it. But if we don't have any, and have some disinfectant or something with us, it'd be better not to close the wound until we get back to town. Then we can wash it and disinfect it." Ren and Keith gulped as I spoke nonchalantly to Taylor. "Cosmo, you can even learn healing magic?" "Healing magic? Finally, our party would have someone who can use healing magic." Taylor interrupted to both of them. "Hey, quit it. Cosmo already has a party. One full of advanced classes. Sheesh. I now think I get why Adventurer is the leader of the whole party of experts." He gave me a chuckle as he spoke. I, for one, still don't know why I had to babysit a party full of problem children, but apparently Tyler did. Maybe he'd tell me one day. We got off the mountain road and walked into the plain that spread on the out toward town. "Hey, I remember there's something out there that we should be watching for, huh? Something's coming this way fast." Count on an archer to have superior vision. It was Keith who noticed first. Then my sense foe alerted me. A black creature was barreling towards us, towards the Wilt Pane, Beginner's Bane, and my shout at all four of them set us off in a pelt mill towards the town. Pat, geez, we've been through all we've been through, and now this." Keith spat, breathing raggedly. Pat. "Oh no, he's getting closer," Ren said as if the answer in teary-eyed breath. Beginner's Bane was right behind us. The town was still a ways off. It didn't look like we were going to make it. That's when Taylor, who had been at the head of the column, whipped around, his sword ready, and said, "Ren, he'll catch us at this rate. You take Cosmo and make for town. Keith and I'll slow him down. When you get there, run to the guild and ask them for send backup." "What? Right," he said. "Leave this to us. We'll let some other party's guy do all the work today. Time for us to do our part." Damn it, that was a good line. But what was all this leave it to us, you go on ahead stuff? "Got it. Let's go, Cosmo," Ren shouted at me and took my hand and made to run. Be it only for the day, these guys were my party members. I couldn't leave them there. The Beginner's Bane was practically in front of our faces. Its target was Taylor, who stood and blocked its way. "Hey, Cosmo, weren't you going to get out of here?" I loosened Ren's hand from mine. I heard a confusion. I made no move to leave. I spoke softly, not to attract Bane's attention. Create earth. I felt little grains of form in my hand. Hey, Cosmo, we're in trouble. Hurry up and run. Keith was in panic, but I closed my hand around a bit of dirt and gently stepped just behind Taylor's right side. Hey, shouted Taylor. Come on. Come and get us, Furball. Beginner's Bane leapt at him. Wind breath, I intoned loudly, holding the palm toward the monster. Grrr. Since I was at Taylor's side, the Bane took my blast of sand full on the face, collapsing to the ground, and as hundreds of grains got in his eyes, even blind, it continued to charge towards us. Grrr. What? Huh? Taylor and the others didn't understand what had happened. Now's our chance, I said. Run like hell. There's still ways to go to town, but there's no sign of the Beginner's Bane. They told me it was intelligent. Maybe it was intelligent enough to stay away. Did we lose them? Taylor muttered, still breathing heavy. Looks like we did. Still breathing hard herself. Ren came to the halt and looked over her shoulder several times. Keith let out a gale of laughter. Seems irresistibly from him. He had gone mad with fear, but his laughter seemed to be infectious. Pretty soon we were all laughing at the near escape from the Bane, even me. What the hell did you do anyway, Cosmo? Huh? Taylor pounded me on the back. It stung, but it didn't feel bad. I gave his armor a jolly smack and returned. It was just basic magic. I'm only an adventurer. Basic magic is all I have skill points for. Who ever heard of an adventurer like you? Keith howled. Oh, my sides hurt. Oh, we met the Beginner's Bane and lived to tell about it. You can't be for real. There's no way. Your intelligence, anyway. Ren demanded. Hey, Cosmo, let me see your adventure card for a second. I politely handed over my card. Hey, what? Your intelligence is totally normal. So are your other stats, except, whoa, look at that luck. That's ridiculous. Taylor and Keith crowded in to see. Whoa, what the heck? Hey, you think Cosmo's luck made his quest go so well? Pay homage, everyone. Maybe you can get a blessing out of him. No, luck had nothing to do with it. Even the girl had said luck wasn't much of a use to an adventurer. And if it really was lucky, then how'd I end up with a party of losers? But as Taylor's word, all three of them joined in hands in front of their faces. Hey, knock it off, you guys. Don't pray to me. How about some coffee instead? I can make water and I can make fire. Three of them laughed and pulled out their mugs. It was past midnight when we arrived back at the Adventurers Guild. Besides collecting our reward, we needed to report what we had seen in the Beginner's Bane. As Taylor had said, though, since we had destroyed its entire horde, the Bane was likely to go in search of new goblins before it bothered any more human settlements. We made it, Ren said. I feel it went on the biggest adventure of my life. Laughing, we opened the door. Sniff. I got some. At the sight of a tearsome, snotty Aqua, who clearly closed the door again. Hey, I totally get how you feel, but please, don't shut the door. Someone pried open the door, half weeping himself. It was the guy who was gone at it with me for nothing this morning. Dust, wasn't that his name? The new leader of Aqua & Co. He looked awful. Dust was carrying Megaman on his back. Aqua was still crying and was carrying Darkness, whose eyes rolled up in her head. She was knocked out cold. On closer inspection, Aqua appeared to have large teeth marks on her head, along with something moist, some kind of spittle. What the? No, don't tell me. I think I get it, and I don't want any details. No, listen. Please listen. I was wrong. Please hear me out. We're on our way to town, out of town, right? And I asked what kinds of skills everyone can use. And this kid was like, I can use explosion magic. And I was like, that's great. And then she was all like, let me show you my true power. And then lets off a huge explosion right in the middle of an empty field. Why would you do that? Dust pleaded with me, but all the sobbing. I covered my ears and pretended not to hear. Hey, listen to me, and then the beginner's bane. I don't know the sound of the explosion attracted him or what, but the beginner's bane showed up, and now our spellcaster, who we need, is the floundering on the ground, and I'm going, let's get out of here. But the crusader throws herself without any armor and... Hey guys, looks like your friend here already reported the beginner's bane to us. How about we relax and have a little meal? Let's toast the start of a new party. Woohoo! Tyler, Keith, and Ren all cheered at my suggestion. No, wait, I apologize. I bow to you. Anything. Please, let me have my party back. Now Dust was really crying. I knew exactly how he felt. Have fun with your new party, I said. I'm sorry. I'm sorry in all this morning. Forgive me. So ends the story of Kazuma going to another party. And Dust learning his lesson that grass is not greener on the other side. And Cosmo proving that he's actually a useful party member. Very useful party member. Showing that as long as you are smart enough, you can do anything. And that is the lesson today's stream, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you all for joining in to our little bit over a long time. We'll be back next week with another story time. We'll probably get back to 11 Kingdoms next week. So until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening.